Losing big in a poker game is what nobody dreams of, but it happens all the time. From Wesley Fye losing to poker, pro Tom Dwan, to Eric Persson losing a huge pot, these are the biggest poker game losses you could ever imagine. Starting with the game that took place at the LA's Hustler Casino. On the table, we have Wesley Fye, LSG Hank, and the poker pro Tom Dwan. These three went head-to-head with a whopping $1 million buy-in.
I know what you have. It's a weird spot.
30.
I'm just gonna.
Well, if you're gonna play, then
I fold. Just I'm.
Oh, switch.
As the game kicked off, LSG Hank raised $7,000. But that was the tip of the iceberg. Wesley Fye, who picked up the ace of diamonds and the king of hearts, decided to raise $30,000 before a flop.
How funny would it be if Doug's like, I know Wesley's hand, and then he's like, I haven't looked, and he just mucks.
That would be really.
No, the yellow card?
Never lost it.
How about Rob?
Be nice.
Rob, do you have a button?
No.
Not to be outdone, the 36-year-old poker pro Tom Dwan raised the action once again to $100,000. At this point, Wesley wasn't going anywhere. While LSG Hank folded, Wesley had two clear options. Either he calls or raises again. Wesley decided to rise to Dwan's challenge by a $275,000 raise.
Oh, you know what they should do? They should just.
the bank exposure in there.
Rex.
Those guys are good.
Never leave the poker room.
You know what they should do? They should just play like businessmen and amateurs, or and pros separately, all the way down to final table each, and then combined at like two tables and redraw and they play it out.
Maybe they can play them longer, yeah.
Hey,
I think one
guys,
is
this is a really big pot. I don't know.
Sorry.
At this moment, Dwan threw a challenge to Wesley with a check, and there, Wesley couldn't resist asking the poker veteran about his mysterious fortune. About $125 million, Dwan confessed, making everyone at the table hold their breath in excitement. Wesley made a move and met with a collective gasp around the table. He played a daring move down, betting $125,000. Dwan, not one to back down from the excitement, called the bet. Now, the dealer revealed the next card. The turn. It was just the 5 of hearts. Not as powerful as expected. As Wesley's hands were shaking with anticipation, he bets $350,000, and after Dwan thought about the decision for another minute, he called. At this time, the pot had grown to $1.5 million before the final card, the river, arrived. As soon as the dealer put the 6 clubs onto the board, it was clear that Wesley failed to connect with the board. He had nothing more than an ace high. Regardless, he moved all in to grow the pot to $2.3 million. How Wesley had played the hand made it seem like he was holding aces, holding kings, or had somehow connected with the pair of 8s on the board, perhaps making trips or quads.
He said all in.
For sure? What is?
That's all.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna get a water.
However, Dwan needed only a pair to beat Wesley. Dwan took almost 4 minutes to make his decision. Holding a pair of queens in his hand at this point makes him the winner if he calls Wesley's bet.
I mean, I guess he just flopped an 8, but it seems very hard to fold. Oh. I'm gonna feel dumb when you roll over like 8-7 suited or some shit. Maybe 9-7 suited. What the fuck?
Eventually, he called and the pot grew to $3.1 million. Looking at the face of Wesley, he was distraught, flicking over his ace-king offsuit. Don knew the good news in a split second, but this next poker loss seems crazier. The hand took place between Jamie Gold and Patrick Antonius.
Feels like aces.
Yeah.
I wish it was aces, but it feels like it.
Antonius, armed with an ace of spades and a jack of diamonds, fires up the action with a raise to $4,000. Gold, sitting pretty with pocket kings, senses trouble but decides to throw $14,000 into the mix. The flop lays down a 3-queen-10. Gold bets $15,000, and Antonius makes the call, dreaming of that ace or king for a straight. The poker gods smirk, dropping the king of hearts on the turn. Gold's got trips, but Antonius pulls out the Broadway straight. Antonius swings the hammer with a $45,000 bet, pushing the pot to a staggering $106,000. Gold, with a heavy heart and pockets full of cash, shoves all in. Antonius, not one to back down, snap calls. And we're staring at a colossal 73 500 pot.
Oof, I'm all in.
I call.
I got a set of kings. You got ace jack, huh?
Ace jack.
But they agree to run the river 3 times. Each run is worth a cool $250,000. Gold snags a queen on the first and a 3 on the second for a full house, raking in a $500,000 score. Antonius snags a 10 on the third. Now, that's what I call a wild poker ride. This next hand took place in August 2017. Tom Dwan was one of the players in PokerGo's Poker After Dark, a 200-400 cash game with a minimum buy-in of $100,000. Tom Dwan is known to frequently be involved in huge pots, but this time, he was different from what you expected. Antonio Esfandiari was dealt the cards and raised up the action. On the button, Negreanu re-raised to $3,500. Tom Dwan looked down and 4-bet to $14,000, but for Esfandiari, not backing off. 5-bet to $41,000.
Said those days are long gone.
At this point, Negreanu called, but Dwan did something fascinating. He announced all in for his remaining $328,000.
Are we allowed to run it twice?
I'm Dwan with aces in a live poker game. It's just not right.
Folding kings seemed impossible, and Esfandiari finally made the call. Negreanu then folded his queens, but you can watch how Esfandiari gazes. He looks at the resulting hand with disgust.
Just talking about this. That's so sick.
Do twice if you want. Sure.
They ran the hand twice, but it brought no help for Esfandiari, and Dwan took down a $697-100 pot.
You had 35 in their range too, right? You had 35 in there too, right? So it's 700,000.
The next loss brings us to the Triton Poker Super High Roller Cash game in Jeju, South Korea, featuring a $1 million buy-in.
It's so long ago already.
The game is played using the Korean one, and there was plenty of cash won in this one. A familiar name surfaces yet again, with Tom Dwan mixing it up in this nosebleed-level cash game.
People have seen their hands. So there's extra dev money out there. That's why people play more aggressive.
Started with 1.3.
God.
On this hand, blinds are 3 million, 6 million, with a 6 million ante and a 12 million straddle. With Dominic Nietzsche opening the action, he raises to 30 million. But Tom Dwan took it further to 120 million. Paul Fua then went in hefty, raising it to 320 million, moving the pot to a whopping $431,000. This time, however, Dwan would be on the wrong end of this big hand. But you know what else? He announced all in after 4 minutes and received an instant call from Fua.
Oh no.
And a smile.
He said maybe KK instead he got ace-8.
With a mountain of chips in the middle, the pot was valued at just under $2.5 million. The flop brought 7-king-4 with a 3 of hearts on the turn and a meaningless queen of diamonds on the river. Dwan stood up and made his exit after the crushing loss.
It was like recently there was some big games as well, like the person just
Sorry, Tom. Yeah, it happened.
No list of massive pots would be complete without this hand that played between Phil Ivey and Tom Dwan. We're at the $1 million cash game in London, where Phil Ivey and Tom Dwan duked it out in a poker showdown for the ages. Dwan's got 7-6 of hearts, Ivey's flaunting ace-2 offsuit. The flop brings a jack, 3 and a 4, both eyeing straight draws. Ivey tosses $35,000 into the ring of fire, and Dwan's in for the ride. The turn gives Ivey a sweet straight, but Dwan's got the nuts. A $90,000 bet from Ivey. Dwan ponders, and boom, he slams down a $142,000 raise, turning the pot into a monster at $442,100.
42-6.
Ivey, not one to back down, shoves all in after a minute of contemplation. At this point, Dwan scoops up a jaw-dropping $1.1 million pot after revealing his hand.
Wow. Good hand.
Then, finally, this hand took place in Poker Go's massive $1 million buy-in cash game, no gamble, no future, Cash of the Titans. The stakes were high as 6 players entered the arena, each with a $1 million buy-in and an additional $100,000 side bet for the player finishing with the most profit. The rules were set, and each player had a pair of $500,000 bullets. This means they have the option to either buy in for the full $1 million or to start with $500,000 and add on later. Eric Person raised $7,000 from the hijack after 30 mins the game started.
Person has been driving the action.
Bumps it up to 7K. Let's robo-sweat it as well.
With dusk till dawn, Rob Young made the call, but that was not over yet. Antonius, being the next to act from the small blind, was holding the suited ace king of hearts. He calmly put out a bet of $30,000. At this point, there was no turning back.
I think Person's serious.
Antonius took the lead for $40,000 after a brief moment. Person, who is known for his aggressive attitude, doubled his bet to $140,000 in a flash. Young sank out rapidly. Antonius paused for a bit before adding $250,000 to the pot. The turn gives Antonius a top pair. With $594,000 in the pot, Antonius took the lead once more and slid a $150,000 bet out. Undaunted, Person shoved the rest of his $759,000 stack.
What do you have?
He took a look to the left and then back to the right. After a little while, he just said, call, and put in his remaining $542,000. With Person drawing dead on the jack of spades on the river, the record-breaking prize grew to $178,000 towards Antonius. That's all for the biggest poker losses. What do you think about it? Don't forget to subscribe and watch this video next.